Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Steve's Cottage. If the cottage is rocking, don't bother knocking. Just come on in. Yes, sir, this is where idealism meets reality. I'm Steve Horner. I'm your host with the most, and I'm so happy to have your company. You're going to enjoy the show today and get a lot out of it, I know. I'm wearing my coach's hat, as you can tell, who are watching me, not only listening to me on audio, but maybe you're on Rumble or Facebook or some of these other platforms that allow you the video. The commie snowflakes over on YouTube took me off because they said I'm a hateful person, which I'm not. But, you know, it's like whenever you don't agree with commie snowflakes, they get their revenge out on you. And that's what they've done with me on this. But I want you to catch this program not only in audio, but also in video. So check around. Sean tells me that I'm on all the major platforms, and that is great. And before I get into the show, the opening to this show, which Sean and I produced in about a half an hour, and then he magically ran into the music, which just complements it beautifully. You know, I'm telling you, I think it's more becoming than the Mr. Rogers opening. I really do. It has a great deal of charm and a great deal of love attached to it. It's homey, it's friendly, and inviting. Well, so I walked into the bank, and the good-looking chick says, "How you doing?" And I said, "Well, how do I look?" I said, "I'm feeling great. I'm feeling real good." Uh-huh. I got chills, they're multiplying, and I'm losing control, 'cause the power you're supplying, it's electrified. Yeah, baby, you better shape up. No, I'm not kidding you. You guys have better shape up because America needs men. Isn't that a cute little program opening? That's with Olivia and John, and that's from Greece. Isn't that cool? I got chills. Well, so anyhow, I'm telling you, we do need men. We need table thumpers like Donald Trump to come in and drain the swamp. We need men out there speaking as men about these age-old, time-tested conservative policies that work. And there's a lot of PW guys out there that are sucking up to the women at home because they want the harmony at home. They don't want, they want the little satisfaction when they get home. They don't want to be hassled. They want to just be led like puppy dogs, like sheep, so that the sweetheart doesn't get upset with them. They vote as the sweetheart dictates, and they seem to be kind of proud about that. And I think that it's exactly what we need fixed in America to make us strong again, because we've been pussified. Case in point. I've been enjoying now that we're in, the coach's hat. Let me tell you about the coach's hat before I get going. The coach's hat I kind of like because for many, many years in Minneapolis when I was doing my single parenting, which is documented on my single parenting book at stevehornerbooks.com. Buy a book. Buy a selection from the Steve Horner collection. Make us both happy. Show me some love. Now we've cut out on the audio, on the video.
I'm showing your website so everybody can see it.
Oh,
it's the website.
No, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You are so far ahead of me.
I just figured I'd throw it in there while you're talking about the website. It's not the video. I'm just doing my job.
No, look what you're doing. I love it. No. Well, hey, listen, it wasn't rehearsed. I'm lost without the rehearsal. This is beautiful, Sean.
All right, there you are. You're back on the screen.
No, thanks,
Look
man.
at yourself in all your glory.
No, that's really cool. Hey, peace, brother. So I did the coaching stunt, as you've seen the books there at stevehornerbooks.com. Very clever. Thanks. Geez, doing the B-roll on me. Wonderful. Wow.
There it is. See? Whoa, look at
Whoa! The book is called Consequences. What is he, crazy? And cunt? My gosh. Does this guy ever get lucky? Look at folks. I don't want to compromise my principles for the sake of compromising my values, okay? I'm not compromising my values for the sake of sex. That's what whores do. And that's what I'm asking you men out there. Don't be whores, okay? Speak up for the age-old values, time-tested, that have worked for generations past. So the coach's hat. So when you scroll down at stevehornerbooks.com, you get down to balancing my work and family. Well, I wore this as Coach Steve, and it's an hour program that I did for many Fortune 500 companies that would have me in during their lunch learning session as they're doing their brown bagging. And my 9 steps was time to get in during an hour, along with a session of questions and answers. And it was a real nice little gig, but it all came from the 9 chapters of my single parenting book. And so I said, with the popularity of coaches, I'll be a coach. And so it's kind of fun, and won me a nice income while I was doing my single parenting. And that single parenting book is still really quite timely. So check it out. And if you know somebody struggling through those times of single parenting, then invest $5.95 and get an eyeful of how to do it correctly. I know, sounds braggadocio, doesn't it? Well, folks, I was raised by good, strong parents. I took those lessons and put them into work with my own child rearing and put them in my book. And so that doesn't happen much anymore these days because there's not many real good examples of parenting out there to follow. So take it from me, these are age-old, time-tested. So back here in St. George, we're doing the end of daylight saving time. Gets a little dark earlier, and now we're starting to get longer days. And when we're still doing 60 degrees, I'm able to get up into over to the golf course, which is just about 2 minutes from me. Just winding through a little bit bucolic area where they've got some horses, and I just wind my way and scat across the open highway right there and onto the golf course. And I park my car nearby, right adjacent to the putting green. Pop a brewski and put it in a big, nice, tall tumbler, and of course that's illegal over there. And sip on a beer while I take my putter and 2 balls over to the putting green, 1 white and 1 yellow. And so I kind of knock them around the putting green in a form of bocce ball. So I call this bocce golf. Well, I was over there and it's a beautiful setting. I mean, I'm looking down there. You got the cactus, you got the so-called red rock, which is really rust colored, but the Chamber of Commerce thinks it's sexy to call it red. And then you get the blue skies, and over here on the west, you've got the beautiful sunset, and it's a gorgeous setting. And you got people coming in from all over into St. George, so it's a destination spot, you see. And so as I'm putting and playing my bocce golf, I was talking to this fella who, he seems to be about my age, and he's getting a kick out of me. I said, yeah, I see the Elks Club right there. Well, I was kicked out of there. You're kidding. I said, no, they didn't like my book called Cunt. Really? What's that about, Steve? I said, well, it's an acronym. Can't understand normal thinking. Well, he laughed. And one thing led to another, and he's putting, and I'm playing my bocce golf, which he's kind of fascinated by. And he tells me that and I said, I live right down next to this ward down there next to the park and so on and so forth. And he tells me that he was a bishop at a ward up in Salt Lake City. So I know the fella's a Mormon. And he was a former Air Force colonel in the Air Force, and he was a bomber pilot. And he was part of the bombing, President Nixon's bombing raids in 1972 when he and the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, which I really did not like. It seems like he and his bad accent were just on show to gain his own popularity. And the war just continued and continued and continued as more and more people on both sides were being killed. And but as you'll see on my Vietnam book at stevehornerbooks.com, which I think you'll enjoy, especially if you're a veteran or know a veteran, I said we were there to stop communism. We did not kill the babies. We were preventing the communists from killing the babies because for them it was, Mama-san, you either do it my way or take the highway, which is a short, shallow grave. And so as the Jew press back home was selling the notion that it was us who were killing innocent babies, the war ended before we were able to call mission accomplished. And now that whole area, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, I think even Thailand, is all under Hanoi communist rule. See, so everything that we spent, lives and everything, all went for naught. Well, so anyhow, so Nixon thought that by shocking Hanoi into submission, that it would be good for peace talk agreements. And so Robert, the guy that I was talking to on the golf course, he was telling me about that. And then last spring, he and his wife, Robbie, went to Hanoi with a group. Robbie wanted to see what it looked like, and Robert wanted to see what the old town looked like, and he wanted to visit the old Hanoi Hilton and so on and so forth. And of course, the whole area is completely updated. I mean, Saigon and Hanoi and none of these towns that look like anything like the old ox cart type of Mama-san, Papa-san towns that they were for centuries and centuries. They're all upscale, but they're all communist control. So a big chunk of it goes to the state, you see. Or you go missing in action. That's communism. And so they took this trip and they went to lots of monuments and, old bombed out American aircraft. And during one of their tours, Robert and Robbie grabbed a bench in downtown in one of the plazas, just to relax for a little bit. And they were sitting next to an American woman who had been married to a former American POW. And she was crying. Her husband had died some time ago, and she took the trip by herself, or maybe with friends, I can't remember. But her husband had died years before, and he was an American POW, probably held in the Hanoi Hilton there, which is where John McCain spent his years, the senator from Arizona. And which I wasn't a real fan of. I thought he was a puss. I was on the big radio station there in Phoenix and used to talk about him and his hypocrisy. McCain was known as a real loud, abusive type of guy to his staff. But as you'll remember on the air and in front of the camera, he was, very kind and gentle. And I really abhor people like that, you see, because it's a real show and it really disguises the real asshole within. Well, that's my take on it. And Robbie, Robert's wife, was comforting her. And Robert tells me that he overheard her say, "I don't know how human beings can treat others like that," as she's referring to some stories and monuments and bombed out ships and monuments to dead Vietnamese and so on. She says, I just don't understand that. And I said, well, what do you think of that, Robert? He says, well, I think I kind of agree. I don't know how humans can do that. And I couldn't believe what this phony Robert was telling me. I said, Robert, you dropped thousands of bombs. on the Hanoi citizens, killing thousands. And now you're and in your mind, you're stopping communism. And now you're telling me you don't know how people can do that? Robert, you tell me that you are former bishop in the LDS Mormon faith. But the monument to the Mountain Meadow Massacre is only about 20 miles north of here, Robert. Whereas in 1857, 137 men, women, and children who were migrating along the old Spanish Trail to California were murdered by Mormons, some disguised as Paiute Indians, because they wanted to extract their revenge for Midwesterners killing their prophet, Joseph Smith. So don't tell me, Robert, that you don't understand how humans can do this to each other. Robert stopped putting. Steve, great talking to you. I gotta go. Robert couldn't face reality. And you know, I started thinking that really is a big part of the formula for why we need to drain the swamp and why Americans have become so cowardly and why we need to get back to these age-old, time-tested principles. Women, they're sentimentalists by gender. They are inherently softies. That's why the woman's crying. I don't know how humans can do this. Okay, well, for the moment there, she really believes it. She might go home and marry another guy whom she might divorce later on and then end up hitting him over the head with a frying pan, because in those domestic abuse situations, it is women who draw the first blood. But for right now, she's saying, I don't know how humans can do this. Okay, fine. So, Robert falls for this crapola. What's wrong with phonies like Robert? You see, men are inherently pragmatic. We understand cause and effect. If you're not going to take out the communists in Vietnam, when the Vietnamese are asking America to get involved and help them, and of course we know that all went south, but nevertheless, that was the initial intention. At least that's, I don't know, what the Jew press fed us. But that was good intentions to stop the communists from killing the Vietnamese who didn't want to align with the communist regime. But Robert speaks of the innocence that he holds about not understanding why humans do this to each other, whereas he had just walked that same trail. What's wrong with phonies like Robert? I say they're cowardly. I say they're pussy-whipped. Chivalrous. He wants to stand up for these women. He's one of these chivalrous cowboys. Or is he stupid? Or is he all of the above? Oftentimes these pussy-whipped guys will vote the way that their sentimental wives want them to, just to keep the peace in the living room and in the bedroom. What cowards. What chumps. How stupid. How can they allow women to take the lead? Aren't they aware of the world around them? In every single situation, from the single-parent woman on up to being governor of a state, to being the prime minister of a country, women in charge have been a flopola. And they've only been allowed to do this. Well, Margaret Thatcher, I got to tell you, in England, I thought she was a champ. You see, so it's not impossible for women to sidestep that sentimentalism and start practicing pragmatism. She's an example. But then she was voted out. Oh, she was siding with Reagan too much. Didn't want her. See? And so that was probably the women telling the men to vote against her. I don't know how that went down, but I like Margaret Thatcher. But that's an exception. You see, these women then who get into the positions of policymaking in the states as a parent, the single parenting, look at the kids at single parenting. You can ask any superintendent or school principal who causes the most problems at school. It's the kids of the single parent moms. Those who are in charge of states and countries, high crime, high debt, low education, bad health, low spirituality, high suicide rate. But the chivalrous cowboys like Robert keep towing the cunt line, and I say the cunt line. That's the name of my book, C period, U period, N period, T period. The women have their periods, gentlemen, but we have our exclamation marks. We need to be table thumpers. And the CUNT is an acronym. It stands for Can't Understand Normal Thinking. And it's for sale today. Where? Come on. SteveHornerBooks.com. And I'd love to hear from you too. This is so cool. Look at Sean's doing again. Oh man, this is like right out of the networks. Wow, SteveHornerBooks.com. Pay him homage, ladies and gentlemen, and send a little love his way by buying a book. $5.95. Buy a selection from the Steve Horner collection. Well, so anyhow, chivalrous cowboys like Robert just keep towing that cunt line to keep the peace. The problem is that short-sighted sweetheart, you see, like Robbie or the woman on the bench, she's inherently wired to, she is not inherently wired to understand what it is that will keep her happy for the length of the campaign. That's because she's a sentimentalist. Men are inherently pragmatic. You do this, you will get this as a result. It's called being pragmatic. Robert, he should take charge as being the man of the house, as Mormons were taught to be. They were taught to be the man of the house because their scripture understands that men and women are wired differently. And for years and generations, the Mormon culture, which I say, and I tell people like Robert, is one of the last remaining true American cultures in America. Look at whites, pretty much down the drain. Whites, blacks, natives, Mexicans, all shell-shocked, full of holes. The Mormons are in a position to maintain a sturdy posture about what their scripture professes. Men are in charge of their families, and they need to be that way again and stay that way because that's how the children thrive. That's how their society thrives. But Robert has lost the guts to stand up to Robbie, even if it's for the long-term well-being of their family and community. What is this called? It's called the title of today's program. It is absolutely insanity. Doesn't make any sense. And what will the psycho-wackos tell you? What will the psycho-wackos tell you about the definition of insanity? It's doing the same old dysfunctional thing over and over and over again while expecting different results. That's insanity. And that's what's happening today, folks, in America and around the world. Solution? Don't vote for him. You have that choice. You still have that constitutional choice. You have to hire him. You have to hire him. But you don't have to vote for him. So, too many of us allow ourselves to be those types of simpletons who have joined the ranks of cunts by classifying themselves as apolitical. And that's a program I'm going to get into with you next. Well, is this terrific? I got a brewski in the Cottage fridge with my name on it, and I'm going to be hitting that soon. And Sean, once again, a great doing a program with you. Thank you for the creativity. And folks, as you're traversing up those huge mountains, you know, the challenges in life, and you see the top of the mountain, I'm asking you to get off that well-worn trail and get off into the less traveled trail and make your way to the top, because it will be more challenging, but you'll get up there feeling better about yourself with better rewards. And you come back and see me here again.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.